Hello everybody, this is Roberto Parker with Innovative Sports Training. Time for another Health Detective Talk. Today's topic is how often and what type of exercise should I do? Let's go to the board. If you go back to some of my previous Health Detective Talks, I talked about Just Move, I talked about We Are All Athletes. Go back and review those. They're only about 5 or 10 minutes long because that will determine how often you should work out and the quality of training you should do, the type of training you should do. It all depends on your background. It depends on the amount of time you want to put into it. It depends on your age. It depends on your motivation levels. It depends on your skill set. Are you a competitive athlete? Are you more of an occupational athlete? Those are the variables involved in the type of program that I would program design for you. So let's talk about the occupational athlete a little bit. Now, the frequency of how often you want to exercise or work out, however you want to term it, should be about 2 to 3 times per week. Now, this person, the occupational athlete, is someone who's an athlete mainly at work. Just by virtue of them being at work, they're an athlete. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I sit on my butt all day long at a desk, Roberto? You're still an athlete. If you go back to my video, Just Move, try to find some windows of time during the day. Take a potty break every 60 minutes and go do 5 push-ups and 5 body weight squats. You've got to find some way to engage your body every day. Try to do it every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Do whatever you need to do. It could be just 1 or 2 push-ups or 1 or 2 squats, but you got to find a way to move around during the day as best you can. Now, this also could be just 1 to 3 days per week, because when I sit down with a person, if that person says, I don't have 2 days a week to spend for a half hour to 40-minute workout, or even 10 minutes for that matter, which I'll talk about here in a second, then fine, you go 1 day a week. But you got to find some window of opportunity during the week to work at least 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Which leads me to the next category. About a 10 to 30 minute training program is ideal because it depends on your athletic abilities, your fitness level, how much you can tolerate, your motivation level is important. So 10 to 30 minutes minimum per day. And by the way, you can break this up into segments too. So let's say do 10 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. Be active every single day. Now there's a difference between exercise and activity. There's a difference. Activity is just moving. The definition of activity versus exercise is that if you can talk while you're walking, if you can talk while you're bicycling, if you can talk while you're canoeing in a boat, you're being active. If you're doing a 100-pound arm curl, or 400-pound bench press, or 200-pound power clean, or doing wind sprint gassers or suicide runs, you probably can't talk very much. That's more of a regimented workout. So activity is where you can do something and talk at the same time and engage the person you're with. Do that every single day. Emphasize moving, which is related to activity. Try to move something every day. So if you're in a wheelchair, move your arms. If you've broken your left arm, move your right arm more. Okay? But you got to move every day. Do something to stimulate your body, to engage your body, to get the circulation going. Now let's jump over to the recreational athlete. Now this person here might have a job from 9 to 5. May have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get the kids ready for school. So their only opportunity to train would probably be in the evening or early morning. But maybe they're training for some sort of an event. Maybe they're playing pickup basketball 2 nights a week. Maybe they want to run in a triathlon, swim, bike, jog. Maybe they're training for the CrossFit Games. So this person here works a real job, but has to find windows of opportunity to train for a specific type of an event. Or maybe you just like working out. Okay, you're not really training for anything in particular, you just like working out. I'm going to say 2 to 4 days a week, 20 to 60 minutes. Now, once again, time is a factor. If you can only do 10 minutes, then you got to do 10 minutes. All these are the guys with basic templates. Once again, it's the same as the occupational person. You want to be active every single day. Emphasize moving and incorporating the skill of what you're training for. Notice this person's not doing that because they're not really training for an event. Emphasize movement patterns and the skill of what you're doing. If you're going to play pickup basketball tournaments, go out and shoot baskets. If you're going to be in a softball league, go out and practice your batting or your pitching or your receiving or your fielding. Practice the skill of those movements. Now, let's bump it up another level. If you're a competitive athlete, now this is someone who really takes it seriously. Could be a high school athlete, could be a collegiate athlete, could be a professional athlete. It could be someone training for the Tough Mudder or the Ironman over in Hawaii, who really gets into it, and they want to really put a lot of time into it. This person's a competitive athlete. I also would rank a firefighter as a competitive athlete, or a police officer who's out in the field chasing bad guys down, because those people have to be in darn good shape and be good athletes, because their life depends on it. 3 to 6 days per week. Now, you might say that's a bit much, but keep in mind, you're training for an event. Because some of this stuff is going to include practice sessions, training sessions. You might be going to maybe a chiropractor or a massage therapist, which I consider part of your treatment and your training. So you're going to put in a lot of hours as a competitive athlete. 30 to 90 minutes, once again, because you're going to have to practice. You're going to have to take specific lessons like batting lessons, pitching lessons. If you're a martial artist, you got to go to the gym and hit the bag with the speed bag, work the punching bag, work on your throws, work on your grappling skills. You got to put a lot of time into training, not just weightlifting and conditioning, but you got to put time into your specific skill that you're training for. Once again, you want to be active every day. Do some drills here that are not really related to what you do necessarily, but just go out for a bicycle ride, go out for a walk, play a little tennis, do some cross-type training. Emphasize skill first. Movements. Skill first, because if you're training to be a baseball player or a boxer or a wrestler or a football player, you've got to work those specific types of drills to excel in your respective sport. So it's very important that you put that in. That is why you must spend more time every day, every week to train this. In fact, 90 minutes may not be enough for some athletes. I was a strength coach at one time at the collegiate level and the NFL level. Those athletes put in hours a day sometimes. We had an athlete when I was coaching at Fresno State who was going to be an Olympic pole vaulter. And he was a javelin tosser. This young man would train 5 to 6 hours a day. Conditioning, weightlifting, stretching, going to a massage therapist, going to a chiropractor. He would put in 5 to 6 hours a day on his body, just training for that, in addition to being a full-time student. It's a big time commitment to be at this level here. These levels down here, less of a time commitment. Now, I didn't put in sets and reps and that kind of stuff. You can go to my one of my videos. I talk about the metric of training. But as you can see, there's a difference between these 3 types of peoples here. Okay? Occupational, recreational, competitive. Now, a few of the things I want to talk about. There's a fine line between adequate training, undertraining, and overtraining. You can overtrain very easily in each one of these categories, which most people really are not guilty of, particularly at this level here. The recreational and competitive athlete, they can overtrain, especially the competitive athlete, because you're working too much. You've got to learn how to deload and take a week off, not to sit on your butt necessarily, but to do more mind muscle types of exercises to let your body recover. You cannot overtrain by doing daily movement activity, by walking every day, by some light bicycle riding every day. You can't overtrain doing just daily activities. You might get boring to you, but physically you really cannot overtrain. You can overtrain doing weightlifting. You can overtrain doing cardio. You can overtrain doing Pilates. And even some forms of yoga you can overtrain if it's more power type yoga. What type of exercise activity is best for you? What category would you put yourself in? What are your goals? Because that's important. You got to have goals. If your goal, I just want to be in shape, I only want to do maybe an hour a week or whatever, you're an occupational person. If your goal is to step it up another notch, okay, you want to be more competitive, you're recreational. If you really want to step it up, go out for a sport, really get involved in an event, you're a competitive athlete. But once again, you've got to find those slots of time to do this stuff, guys. It depends what your priorities are. Everybody's got to work and make a living. You got to feed your family. You've got to find those opportunities and time, those windows of time to work this template here. And once again, it's just going to change from person to person. And the last one, this relates to what I do for a living. I train classes. I consult individually with people, and I do private training. What is best for you? Is it group classes or individual training? Let me just say this. I'll give you a couple scenarios here. If someone comes to me and their funds are limited, they want to do some class work in terms of classes, but they also want to do some one-on-one private consultation, be it training or being it sitting down and going over their lifestyle assessments in terms of their nutrition, their activity level, maybe we run a few labs on them to see what their hormones are doing. If they cannot afford both, we're going to do the individual. I would emphasize that with you. Do the individual, because that's more important. And we're going to ease you into doing classes. Now, another scenario is this. If someone comes to me and they're training for an event, maybe a recreational or competitive type athlete, they want to do speed and agility, they want to do weightlifting or whatever, they want to improve their ability in a sport, but they really don't want to get into the individual stuff as much, hey, do a class. Classwork, definitely. It's more up your alley. So guys, here's what I do. I always have to promote what I do, of course. I do classes, I do individual training, I do lifestyle, health, hormonal, nutritional assessments and evaluations. If you want to dig deep and find out what your body is doing, and that will determine also the type of program that's going to fit best in your lifestyle, according to your time investment, according to your motivation, according to how you respond to certain types of exercises. Are you more a competitive person? You want to really get after the weights? Or you just want to kind of muscle tone because you just don't have time to put into it, but you want to tone up? You're going to be more down here, the occupational recreational category. Like I said, guys, I can mix and match this stuff a lot of different ways here, but that's what I like to do. This is like a puzzle. You come to me, you tell me what you want, tell me your pros and cons, tell me what's good, tell me what's bad, tell me what's hurting you, tell me what's not hurting you, and I put the pieces of the puzzle together, and we come up with a plan of action. So guys, I hope this has been helpful to you. This has been Roberto Parker with another Health Detective series. My number is 816-405-7703. My email is